wasn't yes and, it was no go away oh.
Oh no. Oh no. It was oh no. Yeah.
What's everybody? What's up, everybody?
Yeah.
Welcome back to Keith and Mike Watch Deep Space Nine. Today we are talking about Season 7, Episode 16, Inter, Arma, Enim, Silent Lieges. Of course, we're doing some Latin here.
Oh yeah.
We have a spy thriller, very exciting, kicking off the grand finale of Deep Space Nine.
Yeah. I had to sort of refocus because I started the episode and then I realized that this is a thinky. There's a lot of double crossing, so I had to sort of really drill in.
You have to pay attention. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of them's.
You didn't give me the warning. You didn't give me the Mike pay attention warning.
All right, here. I thought I did when I said we're in the end game now. But let me just put it this way, Mike. Now you pay attention from here until the end. So you can stop paying attention to the first season of Voyager because it takes them a while to get their feet. But
all right.
But for now.
Okay.
Eyes on your paper, sir.
All right.
Very excited to get into this. Lots going on. But we're on a clock. Mike's got another meeting coming up, so we got to get this. We got to get this in, starting with last week's Patron comments for the episode Bada Bing Bada Bang. Lots of interesting and insightful things from the patrons. If you would like to join them and add something interesting and insightful, or a dick joke, doesn't really matter. We welcome all kinds here. You can join them at patreon.com/K&M. So Joshua Cronin says, love this episode. By the way, your episode of Toys will be dropping shortly.
Mm-hmm.
Very love what came in our house.
For sure.
My number 3, actually. It's fun, score is great, feels so Deep Space Nine. 100 self-sealing stem bolts from me. Top 3, fantastic. So glad. It's a super fun one.
Awesome.
Brian from Video Game Drive-By says, hi guys, loved the slow-mo hero entrance. I mean, I watched it a couple of times. The more you watch it, the more ridiculous it is.
Well, because it takes a couple watches to realize I'm walking on my knees from the bookshelf to the front. Yeah.
And I'm bumping into chairs. It's glorious.
I actually think you ended up much cooler in that one. Mostly because you're standing up.
I had a tuxedo jacket. Yeah. That was really that was the thing. Brian continues, such a fun episode. The music, the settings, the Vic. Everything is so tightly paced and presented that I cannot find a flaw in the episode. Or at least I wouldn't say that if I'd spent 7 years in a casino security, where I met Mrs. Drive-By, actually utterly ruining my ability to enjoy heist movies to their fullest. Mm-hmm. Every time I watch a good heist, I am always saying I would have stopped this, and then realize I am rooting against our heroes. It's complicated. Wow, what a fascinating job. And I have so many questions. I have endless questions about that job.
Well, what's cool / rad / many things is
radical. I was in a cowabunga.
You don't think about much. So think about all of the actual behind the scenes kind of documentaries we get. We know what the workings of the Secret Service is. We know what the mob is inside. We've got rats on everything. What you rarely see is the inner workings of casino security. That, you want to talk about security. When you're dealing with the gajillions of dollars that is going through a casino and the gaming and authority and all that stuff, you don't see what's happening. You see the dome cameras, you know they're there, but you don't see the monitoring. I have questions.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it in heist movies, but I'm sure all of fake. And it's kind of scary because they casino security seems, at least on movies and TV, to operate almost as their own like police force, where they're not actually police, but they have all these weird authorities like they're ICE. It's very strange. Anyway, Brandon continues.
Well, that's why you see them on reservations a lot, because they kind of their own sort of self-contained government can kind of do whatever they gotta do.
That's true. Yeah. Though to their credit, the security was better than the guards on Ocean's 11. I noticed something I'd never noticed before during the watch-along. I never made the connection between Sisko's passionate emotions about Vix and his time as Benny. It's one thing to feel passionate about something you always know, you've always known it happened, but in this case, it happened to him. It's probably always going to be an open wound for him. Nice play, writers. And the ending song didn't lie. The best is yet to come. 95 surprise relocking tumblers. Awesome. YouTube viewer says Vic is definitely more of a fan favorite character than Ezri. Unfortunately, the writers still skipped a step. There was a wider debate in the Star Trek fan community of whether Vic is fully sentient or if a fully sentient being, or if Vic is a merely well-programmed simulation. It is clear to me that Vic Fontaine is a fully sentient being, but unlike with Star Trek's previous holographic characters that gained sentience, they didn't do the legwork in the previous episodes to establish his sentience. I think by now, I think they expect the Star Trek audience to, like, accept that now. Because if you remember, by now we are 5 seasons into Voyager, and I would imagine they're expecting us to have, like, internalized that concept, so they didn't feel like they need to do all that legwork, but I get what you're saying. Whether or not Vic is sentient is important for the stakes of the episode. It determines whether the crew of Deep Space Nine is helping a dear friend, or if they're just playing a video game. At 46-minute mark, Vic can't really go to the holosuite with O'Brien and Bashir because Vic never leaves the holosuite. Sure he can, because there are multiple holosuites and quarks. And we know that he can transfer his program between different holosuites. So I think he can. Jake is barely in anything in Season 7. Given all the war stuff and that Jake has to sit that out, they really should have put Jake in this episode. Hard agree.
Agreed.
Sure, O'Brien suffers, but nothing is compared to the previous seasons. This is a slow Tuesday for him. Fair. This is a light and fun episode, not near as good as Take Me Out to the Holosuite, but it's an enjoyable episode. And I suppose it's necessary because Season 7 is about to go full war mode. 75 out of 100 safe stealing Sembolts. Sembolts also made the point about reverse misogyny is called misandry. We were using reverse misogyny sort of like as a play on reverse psychology, exploiting his misogyny. Anyway, they continue. But misogyny is hatred of women, and misandry is hatred of men. Most of the time, when K&M uses the term misogyny, they mean male chauvinism, the opposite of which is female chauvinism, which is not a good thing, but is much less bad than misogyny. Lots of people are sexist, but very few people actually hate an entire sex of people. In my opinion, you shouldn't use the term misogyny so casually. The difference between chauvinism and misogyny misandry is I think I'm better than you, and I want you to suffer and not be alive. As usual, I have thoughts. I have thoughts on this, because from a purely technical read of the words, I see your point, right? That is technically correct. However, I would argue it is a distinction without a difference, and in fact, I think there's something both intentionally obfuscating the truth of a situation and missing the point when we try to create levels of bigotry, right? I would argue that chauvinism is still misogyny, because in order to think that you are better than somebody else, in order to demean someone else based on a characteristic, it is still it is still hatred. Now, it's not, I'm gonna murder you, but it's just a different flavor of hatred. It's sort of like diet bigotry, right? And I think that there is this big cultural push from a certain side of the aisle to sell us on the idea of diet bigotry, diet racism, diet homophobia, where it's like, well, I'm just saying, when really it is what it is, and you're trying to shine it up to be somehow diminished.
I guess an example to use current situations would be the idea that by highlighting slavery at national monuments and such, we are in turn degrading the greatness of America or those who fought in these various battles. And I think it's a false equivalency. And in this case, that is being done through semantics.
but intentionally so, right? There is a huge political movement to try to nerf these things, to nerf racism, to nerf slavery, to nerf the Holocaust, to nerf misogyny, to nerf all of these things, and sell us on the idea that there is such a thing as diet racism. And guess what? There's not. You can use semantics to try to it's like you can't half poison a soup.
I mean,
it's either poisoned or it's not.
So to just kind of like get through this, and I don't want to discount the point. Obviously, maybe perhaps we are too colloquial at times but like that's just kind of how we speak. I take your argument that the writers of Star Trek in this example don't hate women. They are perhaps being chauvinistic towards them in their writing. I think Keith's larger point that is a flavor of hatred. So syntactically we are correct, is what we're saying.
Or to put it another way, I'm using that word intentionally.
Okay.
I don't use chauvinism as a word because I think it is a false narrative. I think it's a fake idea. It's just a way to zhuzh up, to put a little makeup on misogyny.
All right.
But that's just my opinion.
I don't feel strongly enough either way about this, so I'll defer to Keith.
Not shockingly, I don't have any feelings that aren't strong, so...
Oh, I do.
That's how I roll.
Actually, this episode very clearly highlights my general malaise right now. Aside from like life stuff, the sort of the general grayness of the world and how that gray is less... What I enjoy about this episode and the truth of just sort of where we are right now, not to get too into it, is that there is sort of this, speaking of false equivalencies, there's this false equivalency that ambiguity or gray is an equal flavor of good and bad or light and dark.
Right, both sidesing.
Yeah. But that's not...
There's good sides on the Romulans. There's good sides on Sector 31.
That's not really what I think Bashir ends with here, or what we end with. That it's straight down the middle, right? That that there's the thin line between Colonel Jessup and the law. You know what I mean?
Well, it doesn't. I think what they're trying to hold into your head is that the ends sometimes can justify the means. But that doesn't mean that it wasn't wrong, right? Those two things can coexist at the same time. Like murder is still murder, even if you can justify it's for the greater, and in this world of political unalivings, right? You think, oh, well, that was a bad, whichever side, whichever people, like, oh, that was a bad person doing bad things. It doesn't make it okay, and it is always inherently wrong. But also, like, it's the could you kill Hitler thing, right? It doesn't make it not murder.
Yeah.
Even if the ends justify the means, those two things are happening at the same time.
It's very personal too. I think it's sort of where Cisco ended with in that one episode where it's like, what are you okay with? You. Right?
Yeah.
We're not going to agree. And I mean, spoiler alert for my favorite scene. It's that scene where, unfortunately, where Sloane is like, yo, we can stop having this conversation because we are not gonna agree. Now,
it's a great line. Yeah.
I don't know that I agree with that idea that we should stop having the conversation just because we know ultimately we're not going to agree. I think the conversation is sort of the point. Otherwise you're just acquiescing. However, the scene is important because there is a fundamental truth that I think is highlighted there.
Well, and I think it is incredibly relevant as we navigate this world, right? Because like the squishy utopian intellectual idealists and intellectual moral perfectionists, that is our side, right? That is 100% a fair criticism of the left, right? Also makes us not very good pragmatists, and we're getting our asses kicked because we are not making pragmatic decisions. We're making idealistic decisions, and which is the right thing with the capital R, but it also, that sort of type of idealism is easy to exploit and makes us get our asses kicked.
So we can move forward, but I think you and I generally have a sort of like a difference of opinion is whereas I don't particularly think it is as bad or worse now than it's ever been, right? I think there have been plenty of times in our history that have been, to quantify it as bad, I don't think fundamentally things are worse now than they have been before. I think maybe more dangerous and more pressing because of technology and because of things. But what I think is an interesting view of now versus how it has been, this episode highlights, right? There's no more Section 31. Section 31 is sort of just like, we're not pretending or hiding behind anything anymore. We're just doing the things.
Yeah.
And,
and it's an interesting distinction between, like, are you saying that, like, our cultural rot, the evil that is in our world, is the same now as it has always been? Or, because I agree with.
Yeah,
like,
and I think I think politically as well, I don't think this is as I don't think this is the only administration. I'm not giving levels. It's not, because that's not an argument I would take on. That has been out for the best interest of a subset of people, and not we, the people.
Oh, no question.
Totality,
I think all of them are to some extent. Yeah. The difference to me is in the implementation of it.
Oh, well, yeah, sure.
And which is vastly different. The power, both collected and given, is completely different, and the way that they are wielding that, their intent might be the same, but the way that the power is being wielded is vastly and profoundly different than I think has ever happened. But that's me.
Yeah, and it's not really what we're talking about, but it's kind of what we're talking about this week, so.
Kind of, yeah. No, it totally is, but it's like, but Section 31 has, getting back to Star Trek.
Yeah.
At least on the surface, and it seems like is intellectually consistent, believes that they are doing what's best for the greater good. I believe that at least Sloane is making the case that I genuinely believe I'm doing what is best for the greater good. Now, I'm going to do things to protect the greater good that you would not be willing to do. And I think that's what's different. Yeah. I think what's different now is that the people in charge now do not have any interest in the greater good. And so it's a false comparison. Section 31 is like what the CIA used to be. Like, I'm going to do bad things to protect good people, and now I'm going to do bad things to protect bad people.
Yeah, I hear you, and I'm more interested in Bashir's role because I think he represents us, and like, what is our role in this?
Yeah,
is apathy, which, trust me, I get. Is it more? That is an active role. Apathy is an active role. It's participation, and it's really hard to navigate what you're willing to be complicit with or in, especially with when you don't have a lot of power, or when that power is reserved bi-yearly, quad-yearly, that's a word.
Quad-yearly, yeah.
And on top of that, as I was kind of talking to the patrons a little about, like, you have your general day-to-day BS, family, life, and so, like, that is, at the end of taking care of yourself and your family, or at least your peeps close to you, your circle, is a priority. But I don't want to abdicate my greater social.
So complicated. Yeah. It's so complicated now because, like, that idealism and that fighting the good fight, it used to be something that you would do that doesn't put you and your family at risk. And is something that, like, it may be effectual, it may not be effectual, but it's not something that's dangerous. And now it's dangerous. And so it's like, all right, so that not engaging yet, is that a pragmatic decision? Is that a cowardly decision? Is that a I don't know. And I think we're all here. Part of the trauma of living in this time is not knowing what the right thing to do is.
Yeah,
to react to all of this.
Just like a peek behind the curtain, because ultimately it's our show. It's about us. So let's
Are we ever pretending like it's not?
It's like you keep zooming in, and then you zoom into your own mental health, and like, what is going to make you okay for these next 24 hours? I was having a conversation with a family member yesterday, extended family member, and we were talking about immigration policies, Obama versus current, and he kept going back to the well of, well, Obama deported more people, and I was like, I'm not just talking about the numbers. I'm talking about the application and said cruelty, and like, just, you can't, it's a false equivalency you're making. And
of course it is.
They made a comment about how, listen, ultimately, because of my privilege, like, don't matter who the president is, my life doesn't change day to day. And I was like, yo, that's the fundamental truth you're saying right now. I was like, at least you're admitting your biases, as if that doesn't sort of neuter the point you're making, right?
Right.
You can't be like, well, I don't really care, but, right? Because their ultimate point was that, like, oh, the mayoral race in New York is indicative of the greater left politic, and why it's the liberal elite is ostracizing him. And I was like, well, are you identifying yourself as just a conservative person or as a Trump voter? I was like, how are you identifying yourself? Because it's different, right? Because anyway, the point of the story here is that I'm getting to this conversation trying to defend ideals, and ultimately I'm like, well, I don't want to argue with you, because we're not going to see eye to eye, and I don't feel like I can't take on the Herculean task of convincing you, who don't seem to give a shit anyway. Right. So, and then that affects me. I am affected.
Of course.
And then I realized, well, like, I have bigger priorities. I'm like, it's just been Keith and I have been talking, like,
it's been a lot. It's been a lot.
And it's weird because, and I have, talked to my therapist about it, because it's really getting hard to articulate what the weight is. It's just sort of like this esoteric weight you begin to carry, and it's hard to do stuff.
I think because we are under a level of existential threat that we don't even know what it looks like. We don't even know exactly what is threatened or how or what. But yeah, I mean, we are going through this national trauma, and some people are facing it every single day, and it is in their face, and because they are in a vulnerable community. Those of us who are privileged enough not to be in that vulnerable community, you see a lot of different choices about how they handle it, right? They either are like witnessing it and clocking it and are traumatized by it, which is us. There are people minimizing it, trying to like, oh, well, diet racism, right? And they're like, oh, well, comparing it to other, just sort of like willfully ignoring the reality of it, i.e. not looking at the people who are going through it now as people. You're looking at them as concepts and ideas, and that's what they're trying to sell. Fox News tries to sell it as a concept and not people, and then you have people who are like, who love it, or who are not traumatized at all. This is like the greatest thing that's ever happened, and we're all just in this terribly stressful and traumatizing time as we go. It's funny, and we will move on, I promise.
We also put a giant 30-minute politics and trauma intro chapter.
Mike and I, for those of you who weren't here from the beginning, on the Out of Practice podcast, talking about the practice, we live talked our way through COVID. Through the entire, we were recording the show every single week before, during, and after. We went through that entire like national trauma together as we just talked stupid things about the TV show, and it feels like we're in that again. And it's really,
that wasn't that long ago. Now the general consensus is there's a whole giant group of people, like in the time where it's like, we got to stay alive, and then blink, one podcast later, it's like that was all trying to kill you and to mind control you into it. And I'm like, what do we do? What's happening?
Yeah, well, we've lost our minds. Anyway, it's so true.
Also, you're welcome to write in whatever you want. I'm not really interested in engaging in the like, was COVID or vaccines good conversation in this Star Trek. We're talking about it. I apologize for having opened the door. Keith will happily engage with you if you want to attack it.
I will happily smack you the F down.
I'm not interested in hearing it.
Anyway, luckily JD comes in with the JD as a bit of an optimist going into this. I appreciate that.
Thanks, JD.
So he says, that opening was a choice. It sure was.
Dead as hell.
I love how you didn't exactly qualify what type of choice it was. Maybe the help the whales button shouldn't be next to the dead as hell button.
Help those whales!
I will admit to this day that the best cheesesteak sandwich I ever had was in Philadelphia.
Yeah,
duh.
Yeah.
It's probably the top thing that makes me want to go back.
Even a bad Philly cheesesteak is better than any Philly cheesesteak you'll get anywhere else.
It is one of those, it's like a New York bagel.
Yes,
right?
100%.
It's just like you have to be within X amount of miles of New York to get a real bagel.
That said, Keith, I will say this. I love all of my friends. I love the 20 years I spent in New York. I will bring in my heart forever. The only thing I miss are bagels.
Astoria bagel, man. Astoria bagel, best bagels in the world. I have to say, I am so lucky. There is a legit bagel place here.
Yeah, not a one.
In New Jersey.
Not a one.
I'm within the miles of New York City, which makes it possible. But like, a good bagel, man. Oh,
I should just start having you freeze them and send to me.
Yeah. Well, next time you come by, we can swing by and get you a bag. But yeah, it's something special. If you know, you know. If you don't, I'm sorry.
Actually, up next Monday for a rehearsal, and I will. That's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, should do it. Best bagels I've ever had in my life. Astoria bagels on Steinway and like 28th.
Yeah, Brooklyn bagel's pretty good too. Before they got huge.
Forget that. Go into a basement. It looks like you're gonna get murdered. There's a guy there who used to be a professional wrestler slinging bagels.
They got those real dry Italian cookies too. You know, like the ones where they like break a tooth.
I hate those.
Yeah.
Anyway, JD tries to continue. A bit of trivia. Remember when we were on a clock? JD says, bit of trivia you missed.
I should write my boss.
When the casino changes over, the band switches to playing the song Night Train, which is the song played by the band during the Under the Sea dance in Back to the Future. I didn't even know that.
Wow, that's a deep cut.
Fantastic. It's funny, your hypothesis about the dancers looking like they were doing Chicago, since right after Deep Space Nine ended, months after this, Nana Visitor played Roxy on Broadway for a while. Fantastic.
Dude, I'd love to see some bootleg of that.
Does anybody have a boot? I'm sure there are clips.
I'm sure.
Who wants a goo in a box? Very good question. So the conversation between Ben and Cassidy is
Pop
fantastic.
Goes the Goozle. I gotta get that on the...
Ugh, gross. So the conversation...
Goozle.
Oh, you saved it. You actually did. Oh, God.
When one of the commenters says, cut said thing, I try to remember to do it.
There it is. So the conversation between...
Goes the Goozle.
I'm never going to get through this comment. You have a meeting. I don't have a meeting.
I just asked to push the meeting.
So the conversation...
Have you noticed that Jobs, as a grown-up... Hey, Walter, who signifies all kids under 30, turns out, work is this. 30 meetings you don't need to go to and are a waste of your time. One meeting that's really important that you will move 17 times that week.
Right.
6 to 8 hours of actual work per week.
If you're lucky.
If you're lucky.
Now, we say this having our magical, like, super jobs from our basements, so...
How long did it take us to get those super magical jobs? We had to craft them from sheer granite will, determination, suffering, and...
We got a crappy job, and then we used our nerd skills to make ourselves indispensable, and designed our jobs so they could be done from our basement. That's exactly right.
And somehow it happened. I think maybe one of the greatest coups d'etats of society. Keith and I pulled it off.
100%. I get paid pennies, but I'm here in my basement. So, JD, you're going to let me get through this because we're never going to finish. So the conversation between Ben and Cassidy is fantastic because it also hits a couple of things that are still relevant today. One being the way that we often use works of fiction to excuse the bad things of the past. Like to Godwin's Law, this man... like the Man in the High Castle, shows us how much worse things could be if World War II had gone differently, but we can't view that to see the Holocaust wasn't that bad. Or to look at The Handmaid's Tale and say things aren't so bad for us, it could be this. And then in a way, Vix feels a little like this in its hand-waving of those things. Second is to apply this idea to the internet. And we all know that the internet is not a real place. I live there. Multiple studies have been done showing that people who spend multiple hours a day on the internet believe the US to be like 40% more violent than it really is, and other false things about the real world. But they can't stop obsessing on this fake world to know what reality is around them. And that's not to say that you, me, or anyone on the internet is fake. It's the environment in which we are in. Like, I think that if you and I sat down by the fire pit with a cup of coffee, we would have a wonderful time. But I suspect that most of the people who would be so bold as to threaten you or me or call us wankers on the internet, if they sat down at the fire with us, probably wouldn't actually threaten us or call us wankers. And you know why? Because on the internet, the environment of anger and righteous hate is everywhere. But across the table in the real world, we aren't being pushed and prodded to performatively poke at one another. Yeah, go ahead.
I am trying to phrase this properly so I don't out anybody, but so there are people in my circle who are young people, teenagers who are dealing with some just family estrangement issues. Mm-hmm. And I was reading a really interesting study about that. And, we talk about our trauma, Keith, and it sucks right now. But to JD's point, what really sucks right now is that kids who are in a time in their lives, teenagers or even younger, and are developing interparasocial skills and trying to marry interpersonal human interaction via technology, what the reality of technology is in those parasocial relationships. I cannot even imagine how these will turn into functioning human being adults. I just don't see it, how it's going to happen.
It's astounding. It really is. I wouldn't want to be any younger than I am to have existed in the world.
High school now, whether you had a good high school experience or bad, regardless, that period of life is hard.
It's really hard.
It was, and now it's next to impossible.
With the internet existing the way it does, with
AI,
with cell phones and AI and that just sort of toxic world, it's astounding. And they all had their school years, their formative years, interrupted by COVID too.
Yeah.
And I can't even imagine. And honestly, this month is the month that I learned what groypers are, and trying to understand that world. I mean, it's
show Adolescence or whatever. Listen, I work for a company that is about online education, and it is about, in many ways, leveraging technology and the internet space as both a second space and also a primary space for education for those who cannot or unable to attend for a variety of reasons. And even that is fraught with so much ethical and pedagogical exploration, because we're just getting this data now, right? We're just kind of going through it now. We don't really know the long-term effects it's a fraught world.
I think this is a perfect example of how humans are too smart for their own good. It's the same way a generation before, we were smart enough to build the atomic bomb, but not smart enough to know how to use it carefully. I think the internet was a second Manhattan Project of building this incredibly powerful thing that we have no idea how to control or have put any thought into how it should be done. And AI is the third one, which may be the most influential of all of them. That we are smart enough to build things that can destroy us, but not wise enough to know how to use it responsibly.
Yeah.
Anyway, JD continues. Everyone's gonna quit the show today. JD continues, I'm gonna have to go back and watch an old episode because I'm starting to forget what the original AlamarEmmys song sounded like. Mike, what did the original AlamarEmmys song sound like?
Oh wait, The television version?
No, there was no television. I think.
No, I think he means...
No, AlamarEmmys, there's only one thing. We invented the AlamarEmmys.
Oh, well, you know what? You keep talking. I'm going to pull up the original so we can hear it in its entirety.
All right, in all of its glory.
Yeah.
And yeah, all of Trek's broken holodeck episodes, this is definitely a top 2. Like for me, it's at least tied with the original Moriarty episode. Yep, 98 self-sealing stem bolts from me. And Mike, look, we do talk a lot of smack about Voyager, especially during season 2. But there is a lot to love about Voyager. And it's like Deep Space Nine in that it has its own set of loyal diehards, like Keith and I are about Deep Space Nine. And it's not like we love Voyager less than Mommy. We just love her differently. I'll tell you, my experience of Voyager is every time I rewatch it, I'm surprised by how much I like it. And I'm like, wow, man, this is really good. I don't know what's going, like why my memory of how good it is gets deleted. But like it's like, oh wow, this is great.
I'm gonna try to pull it in without affecting our show right now. I don't know if that's gonna work, but I'm gonna try.
Oh yeah, sure.
Keep talking. Yeah,
Alan T. Girton says, I had completely forgotten this episode and had a great time watching it with nearly fresh eyes. A fun little lark, and who doesn't like a caper? I'll slap 85 chips on the table. And lastly, Smugustus Gloop says, the moment I've always dreaded, being forced out of the closet as the true emissary for my lounge chops. Fantastic.
That's a great comment.
All right, so now, finally, it is time to talk about this week's episode. Season 7, Episode 16, Inter Arma Silent Lieges, which aired on March 3rd, 1999. The top song... No, Mike's playing double duty here.
Yeah, sorry.
The top song, luckily, still... Angel of Mine.
Angel of Mine. If I had an angel, they would have told us not to talk about politics for 45 minutes. And additionally, to have peed before we started this whole thing.
Oh, wow. Well, luckily I'll keep going with our stream of consciousness so we don't just drip this episode out.
Is this
the top movie was Analyze This.
Oh, that was De Niro's big jump into comedy.
That's right.
All right, hold on. Should we do this thing real quick?
All right, let's do it.
It's gonna probably confuse you in when you're going through the timestamps, but
I'll know where we are.
All right, let me make sure the audio works properly.
All right, JD, this is for you, so you don't have to go and click on an old episode of ours. You've done enough, sir.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, ready? Let's see if I can do this.
AlamarEmmys, count to 4. AlamarEmmys, then one more. AlamarEmmys, it's AlamarEmmys time!
You know what? We needed that. We needed that, though.
We needed a
I really
cleanser.
have absolutely destroyed it.
Well, I mean, pretty much all of my bumpers are destroyed by you at some point by the end of a series.
But Keith, did you know that we'll probably revisit this another time at some point, that this used to exist? Hold on. Of course, the audio, right? Yeah, should have remembered.
Of course. What used to exist?
Oh boy,
this is good TV. This is really good TV. God, I wonder if we know where it is. We should, soon, we need to pull up Most Valuable Lawyer. And now it's time for Mike and Deglio's Star Trek Vocabulary Quiz! I legitimately forgot that ever happened.
We quickly jettisoned that.
I have no memory of ever doing that. That's hilarious. All right, what was Voyager doing this week? They were doing the episode Oblivion. I love that episode. Such an interesting concept. Inter Arma Silent Lieges was directed by David Livingston. who last directed Change of Heart. And this is a series wrap on David Livingston directing after 17 episodes of Deep Space Nine.
Oh.
And this was written by Ronald D. Moore. The great Ronald D. Moore.
Of course.
Let's do something less great.
Now Keith, waste your time
With what?
with trivial trivia.
So this is one of those things where I both appreciate what happened and kind of wish it hadn't. And that is the role of Senator Kretak was originally played by Megan Cole in Image in the Sand and Shadows and Symbols, but she was unavailable to reprise her role for this episode, so the producers chose Adrienne Barbeau instead. And I think Adrienne Barbeau is great.
Great.
Did a really good job, but I would have loved this to be still Megan Cole, because I don't think I clocked, because I don't do names, because, autism, that it was the same character, because it was done by a different actress, and Megan Cole has such a unique and specific voice that makes everything that she does like it's Megan Cole's voice. Anyway, so the U.S. Bellerophon seen here is an Intrepid class starship. Mike, did you clock that the ship that they're on is the same kind as the USS Voyager?
I did not clock that, no.
The producers used stock footage from Voyager as well, of course, as some of the same sets for the scenes aboard and off ship. So that's why the set of this Federation ship looks so damn good. They were just on the Voyager sets. It's the same class of ship. So as they had done with the gray uniforms first seen in Star Trek First Contact, the producers decided to hold back the white dress uniforms until after Star Trek Insurrection was in movie theaters, because that is when we first saw
Thank God.
the new
And notice
version.
they only put super skinny people up in those white uniforms.
Yeah, you and I would not look good in that. Not good. I feel like I would look like this beautiful bottle of acetaminophen, which gave me autism.
Keith, actually, you know what we're going to do right now?
What's that?
Just pretend to strut, because I'm going to put us in white tuxedos.
Oh. You're
Rather
just
than
looking for an
that
excuse to go
terrible
pee.
opening that no one is going to see until the end now, because it was so bad. Okay, here
Great.
we go. Okay, let's see if I remember to do that. Otherwise, those are going to be great 3 seconds.
Leave this in.
Yes, for
so
sure.
people can see our meeting and what happened there. So John Fleck Koval also played Tyback in The Next Generation: The Mind's Eye, a Cardassian overseer in Deep Space Nine: The Homecoming, Ornithar on Deep Space Nine: The Search Part 1, and Abaddon in Voyager's episode Alice. We have a bumper for our other show. He also will go on to play Silic in, I'm not going to say how many episodes of Enterprise. And guess what, Mike? We have opened a Silic action figure on Look at My Star Trek Toys.
Keith, what I want to do for you, because you've created so many earworms in my life. You're not supposed to know this, but you've been on the show before. But now you're playing a different alien, driving in your car.
That was for me. How does one react to such a beautiful gift? Do I send a thank you note? What's the appropriate response?
Hey, what can I say? You know what I mean? I'm a giver.
So our
Goes
guest,
no goozle.
our guest stars this week include Andrew Robinson back as Garrick, Adrienne Because why not? It's a spy episode. You gotta have Garrick.
Yeah, you should have been in the episode. Well, I guess there was no room.
100%. Adrienne Barbeau as Kretak. Adrienne Barbeau, by the way, is horror royalty. Was also in The Fog, Escape from New York, The Thing, and Creepshow. The Fog, folks, the original one, not the
Not to be
the
confused
Superman
with
one.
Adrienne Balboa.
Right, sure.
Classic.
Really underrated, fun horror movie. They did a remake with Smallville, but it wasn't as good. I enjoyed. I might have to rewatch that. Anyway, also John Fleck as Koval, Barry Jenner as Admiral Ross, Hal Landon Jr. as Neral, and of course our special guest star, the great William Sadler as Sloane. You know who also is great? And we don't call them Bill. We call them by their formal names.
You don't call them Bill. Oh. Somehow I went to Bill and Ted, and then I went to Waiting for Godot and the reviews, and it's, folks, different podcast.
Your brain is
But
bad.
on this podcast, we've got Brian Kilmer, Beersock, Quark Spark, Jamie Lubin, Jason Moe, Deborah, Peter, Bank, Gala, Joshua Cronin, DC, Anton Thies, Mike, Andrew Hayes, Alan, and the Mysterious Worf's Boot Shits, Charles Babbage, John Kelly, Keith Blank, Casey Alexander, Harry Pothead, Carl Fischel, Alan Gurton, Deborah Scott, Trent, Odo's Bucket. Brian from the Video Game Drive-By, Lost Emu, Scott B, Merrick Mead, Byron Woosley, Aroha, AI Sausage, Yum Yum, Ben B, Nikolai Ivanovich Lobachevsky, YouTube viewer, Hibernation Pod, Mary Holcomb, Rogue Knight, Fedora the Explorer, JD Makes, Colin Dagan, Chris Mitchell, Frank Grinch, Pat, Joshua Cronin, Kevin Miles, The Chancellor, Chancellor Jen, Engineer Maynard, Jerome Gibson, April H, James Hunter, Sanji, Jamie Rayborn, Bolian for Soup, Chanel, Lauren Morrison, Lutz Kremer, White Eldridge, Kevin Miles, Ryan Caputo, Old Guys, Eating Sausage. Did you know there's a Hall of Fame? Yes, the Patreon Hall of Fame. These fine folks going all the way back to the aforementioned podcast we did before Out of Practice. And of course, there's a second page because there's so much love. You can join the team, patreon.com/K&M.
And also, for the people who haven't added yet, because I am apparently a terrible person, Jamie Rayburn, of course, thank you. Those are right there. Mike Hansen.
Yes.
It's Mike Hansen. Hanlon, I'm thinking it. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And Sangel is back. Welcome.
Yes. Welcome back.
So,
everyone.
awesome.
Yeah,
Thank
if you
all.
listen, if you had to take a time out and now you want to be back for the home stretch, so glad.
Of course.
Yeah.
Home stretch. All right, folks. What do you say we hop into our screening room? Mike has just devolved into like that goat who flexes his tongue around. Wow.
You know, the first week we presented it needs to have a prom in it. I gotta be trigger happy on it.
Well, there's nothing that describes Mike better than trigger happy.
Yeah. Oh, yikes.
So in our teaser, Kira is running a meeting between the Starfleet crew and the Romulans. Senator Kretak is back, now played by another actress. She's complaining that the Romulan ships are not being repaired as fast as the Klingon ships. There's the usual posturing, but they have a good working relationship. And we get the news that Kretak won't be here next week because she's going to be at a conference between the Federation and the Romulans, discussing, Dominion stuff. We then see Garrick and Bashir getting a moment to talk to each other after having been banished from one-on-one conversations by Rick Berman for having too much sexual chemistry. He must have been out that week. Now they were able to sneak it in. We find out that Bashir is going to the same conference to discuss the Dominion's biogenic weapons and Ketracel White. And guess what? Admiral Ross is going to be there as well.
Yeah.
Garrick, of course, thinks this is a great opportunity to spy on the Romulans. And Bashir's like, but they're our allies, Garrick. And with a bit of luck, this could be the beginning of an entirely new relationship between our peoples. The eternal optimist, guilty as charged. And Garrick says, how sad. I must tell you, it's a bit disappointing to hear you're mouthing the usual platitudes about peace and friendship regarding the implacable foe like the Romulans. But I live in hope that someday you'll see the universe as it truly is, rather than as you wish it to be. And Bashir says, I shall endeavor to become more cynical with each passing day. That feels pretty darn relevant.
Sure does.
Later, Bashir is woken up in the night.
Although I will say,
yeah,
this is probably the scene that is the most, could have been an email of all time. You wouldn't even need the episode. It's just this conversation is the episode. There you go.
Well, we just laid it out. We when you're doing an essay, Mike, it's been a long time since we were in high school. Mm-hmm. You have to do the thesis statement in your first paragraph.
I know, but isn't that supposed to be our teaser?
This is our teaser.
Oh, there you go. I thought we were well into Act 1.
No. So later, Bashir is woken up in the night by Sloan from Section 31, and he has an assignment, and that is the end of our teaser.
One man's in their jammies, and the other man is in this black leather. This could be a different show.
I mean, we don't know what they did during the credits.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're dressed for the occasion.
The safe word is Kreetak.
I mean, you'd think he'd be a creep-tack, but Bashir didn't seem sad about it.
They're all right.
So in Act 1, after the usual posturing, Sloan tells Bashir that he wants him to gather data at the conference because they can't use any of their surveillance tech, because of course the Romulans are too smart for that. But Bashir's bioengineered superpowers will work just fine. Great idea. Sloan is already planning for what happens after the war, where the Federation, if they win, the Federations and the Romulans will be the two remaining superpowers. Very smart. Sloan leaves, and Bashir gives a flouncy chase in his jammies. Go back and watch this. Fake running is hard.
Yeah, so also, no, in the future, you think we'd have better firearm safety? Like, why are we just flailing around pointing phasers in people's faces, especially poor little Ezra here?
What I love is his run. He's like, oh, I'm going to chase him like this. So you can.
Also, have we not designed better jammies in the future? We're still going with the blue pinstripe? That's what we're doing?
I mean, I think that, if you're going to do jammies, which I don't understand anybody ever doing jammies ever.
Never wore a jammy in my life.
I mean, do you not have an old t-shirt or exactly the same t-shirt you were wearing all day?
Yeah, and some sweatpants or just boxers? Come on.
Yeah, pair of gym shorts. Yeah.
That's how you know, when you just start dating a new person and you get the first Christmas or whatever and you just get PJs and you're like, whoa, not thank you. Can't wait to wear these.
But it's because you're all just pretending like you wear pajamas. Nobody wears pajamas.
Yeah, especially pajamas that are an actual outfit. Like a whole other piece of clothing you're gonna put on?
Oh, I'm sorry. Were you expecting to spend our relationship in a Victorian novel? Bizarre.
Yeah.
But they're still they're tailored, and of course they still have the popped collar. The only thing on the entire show that doesn't have a deep V is his pajamas. It's very funny. Anyway, Bashir discusses the situation with Cisco, and Cisco has already made a plan with Admiral Ross.
Keith, can I make a timeout? I need you to make me a promise.
Okay.
Is Cisco gonna be on the show moving towards the finale?
Yes.
Thank you. Move forward.
Yes. Don't worry. Don't worry. So they have a plan with Admiral Ross about Section 31. He wants Bashir to go to the conference anyway. And Starfleet is pretending that it cares about Section 31, but it's also telling them not to do anything. But Cisco wants to take a crack at them anyway, so he's going to have Bashir pretend to take the assignment from Sloan. So in Act 2, Bashir...
Seems to be putting Bashir in a great deal of danger. In a high-pressure situation with
But this is what we decided
people.
to do last time Sloan showed up. He's like, he wants to recruit you? Let him. I mean, look, it's a time of war. We got to use our assets.
Yeah, you're right.
So Bashir and Admiral Ross and Senator Kreetak are aboard a Voyager-class ship on their way to the conference. The set looks giant and expensive because it's the set from Voyager. They all drink Romulan ale, and Ross is hilariously bad at drinking it. Love that comedy bit. Very funny. And this is when Sloan... Yeah, so Mike, you're getting your teaser. This is the mess hall from Voyager.
Yeah,
so we're going to spend a lot of time in that room.
Cool.
And there was something about me that, seeing the Voyager sets, I love Deep Space Nine so much. It's so beautiful and it's great. But I am sort of hankering to spend some time on a Federation ship. So I'm excited to have that, to get out of the Cardassian architecture.
Good, okay.
Yeah, well, just you wait. You don't know. You're gonna love it.
Did you see what I did there? I gave you a little deep cut with Voyager. Instead of okay, I tried to say Tucote. Okay, Tucote.
Dead as hell.
Better when you explain it. This is when Sloan reveals himself, pretending to be another Federation expert. He pulls Bashir aside and says, I left you homework in your quarters. Always what you want to hear. Later, Bashir and Ross discuss, because Ross is in on the plan. Sloan's cover is good, and Ross tells Bashir to keep going with the plan. So back in Bashir's quarters, he and Sloan do a bunch of research on some of the Romulans' mucky mucks.
Cool sci-fi here.
Cool sci-fi. What a great way to because it's so much more useful to see someone in 3D than just the face.
It gives me current day PlayStation, Xbox character creator vibes. Just
totally.
The close-up 3D model where you're playing with her.
Yeah, but with her, yeah, I just but here's the question is it like Cyberpunk 2077 rules?
There are no rules, man.
I'm just saying, I spent a very long time customizing my character.
It's nice to watch them try so hard not to breathe demonstrably.
Well, but this is the interesting thing, because I'll note it in the thingy, but he blinks.
Yeah, well, they're living models, right? So
yeah,
even on the character creators now on PS5, they breathe and they blink and they show you their batting stance or whatever.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at.
Yeah.
Anyway,
pop goes the goozle.
You don't even have to with Cyberpunk. You don't even have to add the little code like you do for Fallout. Anyway,
Keith,
you know what I mean.
You have spent 16 hours on short and curlies.
Anyway, you know, you know. So,
pretty sure they know.
No, but you've either done it or you haven't.
Yep.
So, they talk about the Romulan mucky mucks, including their main target, the head of the Tal Shiar, Koval. It's cool using holographic people, like I said, and it's an interesting touch. And here's the thing. I think you're right that they went for a realistic, but also I think it's also a practical compromise that he blinks, because to shoot that without blinking and just how many takes do you ruin? That's crazy, especially under all of that makeup. So he is very much, the Kretok is very much opposed to the alliance between the Federation and the Romulans, which means he's a dangerous adversary to the Federation. They're afraid that he wants to go make a deal with the Dominion. He's also a political rival of Kretok, who supports the alliance. However, Sloan thinks that Kretok and Koval has a disease and might be dying. And Bashir's job, whether he, if he accepts it, is to confirm the illness. And Bashir tries to blah, 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 but Sloan says, I love this line, is the one you're referencing. Let's make a deal, Doctor. I'll spare you the ends justify the means speech, and you spare me the we must do what's right speech. You and I are not going to see eye to eye on this subject, so I suggest we stop discussing it.
Which I think is cool, because, not just for all the reasons we were talking about, but it also says, look, we had that conversation in the previous episode, had a whole episode about it. Reference that. We're doing a different adventure here.
Yeah. I think it is both in canon smart, but also in the larger piece smart. So in Act 3, we arrive at the conference and everybody is... And honestly, if we could all just as a society, say that to each other and just acknowledge, we're not going to see eye to eye on this and let's move forward on... That would save a lot of fighting on the internet, on Facebook, with your aunt. So we arrive at the conference and everybody is schmoozing.
It's just sort of like the Metrodome, but they did a matte painting over it.
That's true. It is sort of the Metrodome. Yeah, still up there. Weird, or the Astrodome.
Astrodome,
yeah. But we now see the new Federation dress uniforms that we're going to see eventually whenever we get to Insurrection. Koval unexpectedly comes up to Bashir and asks him questions about the quickening and whether or not he could replicate it and use it. Of course, he wants to use the bioweapon, not stop it. Then Bashir talks to Kretok, and they're pretty chummy. Later,
great
Bashir...
direction here, if you look. Notice Kretok.
You see her in the background,
watching, but Ross isn't.
Right. Which you could either think of as Ross not clocking it, or
fainting.
Not trying to put too much stank on paying attention to it. Good stuff. So later, Bashir gives his talk about the quickening, and Koval and Sloan are both there. Sloan doesn't care about Koval wanting to use biological weapons. He wants to know if he is sick. And Bashir confirms that he might actually be ill. But he's going to survive another 20, 30 years. So Sloan naturally asks if there's a way to covertly accelerate the disease to kill him faster. Some good spycraft. When Bashir goes to Ross is horrified by this, but he agrees with Sloan's goal of getting Kretok promoted instead of Koval, because she is a patriot. More on this later.
I think what's awesome, going back through this, is how rock solid. Yeah, like, I just rewatched The Sixth Sense recently. And, you only get the ending of that once.
Right.
So all subsequent viewings are about looking for cracks in the armor. And I actually think the performances by Sloan and what's the...
Ross.
No.
Ross.
Yeah, Ross, but more so who's the Taushera guy?
Kretok.
No.
Sloan, Bashir, Koval. Oh,
Koval are rock solid. Like they're three levels of...
They're professionals.
Yeah, it's really good. Ross is a little... but I think intentionally so. So it's...
Because he's dabbling.
Yeah, it's well directed for subsequent viewing is what I'm saying.
Yeah. No, it's good. This really does... It's tight. It's a very tight episode. So, and Ross thinks there might be another Section 31 agent at the conference who might be willing to assassinate Koval. Bashir thinks it must be a Romulan, and so he wants to inform the Romulans to stop it from happening. But Ross says, no way, we can't let them find out about Section 31. Thus, it's such a, when you look back on it, such a crazy premise that so much relies on Bashir disobeying a direct order from an admiral and the spy thing. It's crazy. So later in the mess hall, Bashir hears a couple of people saying that Ross, just had an aneurysm. And Sloan was not, as Ross had planned, confined to quarters. So in Act 4, Bashir has no choice but to go to Kretok for help. He explains what's happening, and he asks her to give him access to Koval's personal database, thinking that in the database there might be evidence about who the traitor is. Bashir then calls in Sloan and tries to tell him that he's starting to doubt that Koval has a disease, to again try to set off the assassination. Sloan says we can confirm whether he has the disease by getting some skin cells, so he puts glue on Bashir's hand so he can get the cells to confirm. But it turns out that Koval is ahead of him and pulls Bashir into an interrogation room, and he puts on some brain scanning devices. And that is the end of Act 4. There's a lot of moving pieces in all of this, and it's remarkable that it's coherent in the short amount of time that they have and with the amount of new characters that we're dealing with.
So, I guess it's not a wormhole. It's not a wormhole. It's just, I guess, I was going to say, why this portion here, why put him through so much physical, actual, I don't want to say torture. We don't know if it went to that extent, but it definitely was unpleasant. Just to go through with the ruse, but I guess you have to make it realistic. If they were willing to basically potentially execute Kretok in the grand scheme,
yeah,
I guess why not rough up Bashir a little bit?
Well, he has to believe it. Right? It's about because you're selling the torture to multiple people, to Bashir, but also to the whole council. Right. So, if he didn't, be a little malevolent about it, Bashir would have doubts and the council would have doubts. Which is the same thing, same reason they had to do it to Sloan later. So you got to sell it. So, it turns out, however, that his brain is too superpowered for the devices. Or is it? This is a question that it's not a wormhole. It's a question that the show leaves open.
Right.
When you look at it in retrospect. Because is it true that it didn't work on him, or was that Koval covering?
We don't know. Right.
So they bring him to the Romulan committee, and they have already arrested Kretak for trying to break into Koval's database. Bashir tells everybody the truth, including about Sloan and Section 31, which is a crazy move, but I get it from his point of view. Koval then brings in Sloan, who has been also tortured. But what Sloan says to the committee is he's not actually a part of Section 31, and there is no Section 31, and he actually is part of Starfleet intelligence, but he has gone rogue to get revenge.
So let's go real time here with Mike watching. Yeah. So as they're going through this, I still have not pieced together the ultimate plot. All right. And when Sloan is going through, what's his name again? The Romulan?
Koval.
When Koval is explaining him as just kind of a disgruntled spy, I'm thinking to myself, man, that sort of negates or neuters the whole first Section 31 episode. Plus, I know there's Section 31 to come in the future, so I'm trying to figure out why, do we find out later there's another Section 31 and he was just blah, 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 blah. So
you bought it.
I'm still trying to figure it all out, but I did not know at this point. I'll tell you the moment where it switches over for me.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, it's been so long since I saw it for the first time. Right. And when I saw it for the first time, there was no subsequent knowledge. Mm-hmm. So it very well could have been the truth.
Right.
In that situation. So, Kretak is convicted of treason. And just as Sloan is to be taken away, he grabs a phaser, and then they shoot him, vaporizing him. Cue the YouTube viewer annoyance about the rules of vaporizing.
Yeah. So that's where it happened for me. So when he pieces it all together, if that were the truth, right? And he's so quick to absolve Bashir via ignorance, it became bizarre that he would be so harsh towards Kretak, because she was operating under the same pretense as Bashir. So Romulans being very Vulcan in the emotion aside, the logic of it is very sound, right? I'm not saying she didn't do anything wrong, but it would have been less, it felt a little heavy-handed, and that's when it clicked to me. I was like, nah, they're working together. He's the mole. That's the first thought I had. So you put it together there. I put it together just as Bashir does, which speaks to incredible pacing. If
Great
the
execution.
Viewer,
yeah,
there are sometimes you have a whodunit where they tell you up front who did it, and you watch the detective figure it out.
That's the howdunit.
The howdunit. The whodunit is you're trying to figure it out along with the detective. Rarely is it successful in a Columbo or a whatnot. Murder, She Wrote's a howdunit. Columbo is a whodunit. That generally you, in those episodes, to highlight the intelligence of the detective, you don't know. They still keep it obfuscated until the detective unravels it for you, so there's an aha. Right. Here, they pace it such that you discover it, I discovered it, and I'm not a super sleuth by any stretch, at the same time as Bashir, which is just so... You can't plan it any better. It's just the way it should be in an episode like this.
It's really, really well executed, for sure. So, Bashir is released, but he smells a rat, the same time Mike did. So he goes to confront Admiral Ross. He has figured out that Admiral Ross is the third agent. And he says, how long has Koval been working for Section 31? He's been providing the Federation with crucial military information for over a year. I didn't know that he started working with Section 31. But in any case, we have a mole working for us in the highest levels of the Romulan government. We find out that Sloan, conceptually, was beamed away right as he was being shot. And Starfleet's mole in the Romulan government was, of course, Koval. And he has been hiding as the Federation's biggest enemy, but actually is a spy for them. Great cover.
Awesome.
Right? It's really smart to have the person you least expect it. So Bashir is furious that they set up Kretak.
Yeah, that is sort of... Because they set up a whole bunch of people, right? But at least Bashir gets to go home at the end of this.
Right?
She's in Mandela prison.
The one true innocent in all of this is Kretak. And she might even be executed. And but as Ross says, she's too much of a patriot to trust. Meaning that if she discovers that it is better for the Romulans to make a deal with the Dominion or abandon the Federation, she's going to do what is best for the Romulans. And that makes her a bit of a wild card, because we're looking at what's best for us. And Bashir says, and you don't see anything wrong with what happened? I don't like it, but I've spent the last year and a half of my life ordering young men and women to die. I like that even less. Bashir says, that is a glib answer, and it's a cheap way of avoiding the fact that you've trampled on the very thing those men and women are out there dying to protect. Doesn't that mean anything to you? Inter Arma Enim silent leges. In the time of war, the law falls silent. Cicero. So, what we've become? A 24th century Rome, driven by nothing more than the certainty that Caesar can do no wrong? Good question. Real good question. And
that line, I was like,
well, and like it feels less relevant today because we know Caesar can do wrong. That we're not trying to justify anything. We're just being criminals. What it felt like super relevant is this episode came out in 1999. 2 years from now, we will be having this discussion for reals.
Yeah.
And that felt like, oh crap. Like, in fact, to go back to when I saw this episode for the first time, right? Because I didn't see it when it was out because I was in college. I didn't have a VCR that could tape it. So I was watching this for the first time on the subway.
Post New York.
In New
9/11.
York City. Yeah. Probably in 2003, 2004, right in the middle of all of that. And it felt like, I was like, damn, this is crazy relevant. So Bashir goes home and, of course, is awakened in the middle of the night by Sloane. Hey, wants to drop that safe word again. Sloane says, thanks. We picked you because you were a decent human being and we knew what you would do. He did the right thing and that was the plan. Sloane says, we needed someone who wanted to play the game, but would only go so far. When the time came, you stood your ground and you did the right thing. You reached out to an enemy, told her the truth, and tried to stop a murder. The Federation needs men like you, Doctor. Men of conscience, men of principle, men who can sleep at night. You're also the reason Section 31 exists. Someone has to protect men like you from a universe that doesn't share your sense of right and wrong. I mean, and that is the gray area that is thought-provoking, right? And this is what makes Deep Space Nine's gray areas different from sort of arbitrary darkness we see sometimes in contemporary Trek or later, which is like, oh, we mean gray area meaning like we're sometimes bad. That's not what this is. This is gray area that, greater good versus smaller good, not that we're edgy. And I think we confuse edginess with gray. It's not the same thing.
Yeah, it's sort of like this principle, what this brought home to me was, the concept that we've got this checks and balances thing that's, used to be comforting.
Used to. Yeah, it's cute.
There was a time when the right thing to do in certain circumstances would be to resign in protest. I swore to uphold the Constitution. That's not what's happening. I resign.
Right.
But if that's your ethics, right, and enough of you do that, you then reveal the next person to take charge is the patsy, So what is the right thing? Is the ethical thing the right thing? Or is the right thing to do is to participate in this sham whatever as a good person so that you are I don't have the answer to that question.
No, and there is no right. They were, listening to someone interviewing about like the CDC right now, and any institution right now, and people are desperately trying to figure out the answer to that solution. How can I do the greater thing, right? The intellectually pure thing is to resign. The practically pure thing is to try to fight within the system to try to protect it. In the end, none of it really matters if you don't have any levers to pull. But but he was saying, like, talking to all the people in the CDC, there's the answer to that is all over the gamut. All good people trying to do the right thing, trying to protect us, with 15 different answers to that quandary, and that is the gray area.
Especially if you can't agree on what the right thing is.
Well, I think they all agree on what the right thing is. The question is, how do you fight the wrong thing? What is the right way to fight the wrong situation?
Well, I think the seriousness, the weight, the gravity of that question, Keith, can only be really
summed up
in one way.
Yeah.
AlamarEmmys, there was more. AlamarEmmys, it's AlamarEmmys time.
Yep. Yeah. I feel it.
Yeah.
I feel it. I really do.
It's really brought me somewhere. We've talked a lot.
Boy, have we.
Really gone through a lot of jumps. And so I'll try to keep this all pretty succinct. But I will say I stand by what I said earlier. I think the best moment for me was that sort of too long didn't read that Sloan gives in the beginning where it's like, we're not going to agree. So can we just like not do the song and dance and try to like focus on what we're trying to achieve currently? I think, as Keith said, we could use a little bit of that. And it's, I thought for me it was the best moment.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think both of them are sort of the ideas that Sloan articulates, the true gray area, and like, we are both trying to do what's best for the greater good of the Federation. I'm just willing to do much darker crap than you are, and I'm willing to morally compromise myself to protect you, to make that moral sacrifice to do that, which is there's something both barbaric and heroic in that idea, and I think it's really fascinating. So so for me, it's that final couplet. He's like, the Federation needs men like you, men of conscience, men of principle, men who can sleep at night. You're also the reason we exist. Someone has to protect you from the universe that doesn't share your sense of right and wrong. And it is hard to argue that it is morally acceptable. It is also hard to argue that it isn't also necessary. And I think that's just a really fascinating concept. So that's my best moment.
I mean, that's basically the Colonel Jessup, you can't handle the truth speech. Oh, yeah. Sorry about that, buddy. We'll get back to it in just a moment.
I'm feeling like there's less of me.
You get some stamps. Hell yeah, they are self-sealing. Here are some stamps for you.
I feel like there's less of me. It's too much, Keith.
You overcompensated.
I sure did.
There's a lot of overcompensating on this show.
My life. Yeah, it's great. It's a great episode. I know you said we're starting the last arc. I would think this probably is the table set of that, kind of just a reminder of where we are, what the stakes are, the sort of gray area we're going to live in. I thought the direction was really solid. I thought the performances were really great, especially when I highlight Siddig. Uneven at times. When it counts, really stellar. I thought he was really great in this episode. Great guest turns from everybody across the board. Just great writing about ideas and hard ones, hard truths. And this one, they don't do a lot of zhuzhing with like trying to hide the the ambiguity, hide the tough truths with action and pew-pews and all kinds of stuff. I mean, it's like we're talking. This is a play.
It's a play. It is 100% a play.
And you know what makes a great play is direction and pacing. And we have great on both fronts here, and great dialogue. And I thought there was some great exchanges here. The piece that's missing for me a little bit, just a little bit, and I understand why we went with Siddig here, and I think it's cool that we go to Ross, showing that this goes levels. I miss the Ben wrinkle here, because we already know where Ben was left. Was it last season, where he's basically like, I'm gonna do what I have to do. I'm sick.
Yeah.
He gives you the Ross, what Ross says, but before, when he's drinking his drink. What was that episode called? One of my favorites.
Oh, you mean
In the Pale Moonlight.
Yeah, the Pale Moonlight. Yeah.
But that said, where is he sitting all this? Because we have him talking to Bashir, and we know that he made Bashir go. And is he in on this? Is he?
I don't think he's in on this. I think he sees Section 31 as the bad guys, but also I don't think it would work, because I think if he understood the situation, Ben would be like, okay, makes sense, got to do it.
Right.
We're gonna sacrifice Kreetok.
I would like to know. I would like to kind of know where Ben and like, because we sort of see Bashir decide to sit with it at the end when he decides not to call Odo, but does it just stop there? Does he go to? Because I don't know. The ambiguity is the point. There's just like I just wish I'd seen like the Ben of it, but ultimately that doesn't change what the episode is about. It hit me at a time when I'm wrestling with a lot of this stuff, man. I'm really wrestling with it. And that's not just like our country, by the way. I know we get mired in our politics, but I just mean like all the stuff we're talking about with the kids and AI, just like the greater existential what's going on feeling is this episode, right? Like right and wrong, man. Whew, I get religion, man. I understand why people go to a place where they're like, hey, just tell me what's right and wrong, because I can't figure it out all the time. And so I understand that comfort. I also understand the millions of hours of conversations we've had as to why that introduces a whole other slew of issues.
Right, sure.
But you can understand why people look for escape. Look, Bashir is left in... Bashir is us. Bashir is us here, man.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
Woo! This is 1999. This is TV.
Yeah.
And, wow. I'm going to miss the show when it's gone, because it's such a contemporary piece of media that is not contemporary.
Right.
So I'm going to go 95 self-sealing stem bolts.
Yeah. Well, I think you say we are Bashir. I think like we are Bashir in a lot of different ways, right? We are like...
Well, I wish to be Bashir, I guess.
Yeah, we're the nerdy idealist trying to hold on to our ideals, our morality in a world that feels like it's in danger of slipping away. Right? And I think that's true for Bashir. I think that's true for us too. And like being forced to wrestle with what do you do? What do you do in this impossible situation? And where the dangers are real, and how do you hold on to your principles when you're actually in danger? And what are the principles? And what are your primary school principles versus your pragmatist adult principles? And how do you marry that and all this, principles you can hold on to under ideal conditions versus principles you hold on to during an emergency. We're wrestling with this shit every single minute of every single day right now.
Can I piggyback on that real quick?
Yeah.
Because you've articulated it in a way I couldn't before. Some of the stress comes from, the existential stress comes from, we're dealing in sort of a post-truth world right now.
Yep.
A post-fact world, and
yep.
in doing so, especially if you're on the side that's like, yo, so-and-so is lying to you, right?
Right.
You then feel compelled to always have the fact-based, truthy retort.
Right.
Right? Oh, you feel that your principles are XYZ? Well, defend that, and you better have all of the citations. And I don't have that all the time. Sometimes you just have your gut, your feeling, right? And what you feel is right, and what you hope is right, and what you hope is the outcome. And I'm not as good as you sometimes, Keith, at like knowing how to debate that. And that's difficult. It's difficult.
Well, all we can hold on to is our intentions.
Mm-hmm.
And then how do we implement that is a complicated answer, but our intentions are the greater good, goodness, truth, whatever.
Yeah. I just don't know how like labeling like trans people as a community as terrorists. How's that?
But it is intentionally monstrous and intentionally obtuse. Like that's part of, because you just said we are in a post-truth society, right? We've invalidated it as a concept. We have also tried to invalidate it as a goal, right? As an objective. And the same thing, after truth got deleted, the next step that we're actively in right now is trying to put us in a post-morality world, a post-empathy world, to live in a world in which we don't have to care about people who aren't ourselves, to live in a world in which things that we have decided as a society are not up for, the morality of which is not up for debate. Racism, right? This is the first time in our lifetimes where the morality of that is up for debate, right? And the true, say slavery, the truth of slavery and the morality of that apparently is now up for debate. It's never been up for debate in our life before. And that's sort of what I mean about the things that are slipping away beyond the practicality. Our moral ideas, our cultural identity, that is what's slipping away. Our cultural values are slipping away. And that is, I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm just depressed myself. I was like, I'm really winding up to a point, and I don't have a point other than, oh man. So this episode.
Let me just hold on. Let me just let me say this. In my
save me.
Depression. I had this. I think I said it on my stream. I had this kind of nightmare, Keith.
We were doing a show?
No.
Yeah.
And listen, I'm gonna say this on our stream and on our show, and I know it's opening a door I shouldn't open. Not that we haven't done that. I mean, our subscribers have dropped
that door's wide open.
This has nothing to do with politics. So please, I beg you, do not comment or even acknowledge what I'm about to say. Just let me say it. I'm talking to you. I had this dream. We're in this universe in media where we're rebooting this, we're rebooting that. This character showed up on that show. You never hear about Ben Sisko. And I'm thinking to myself, as the emissary, is Ben not going to make it? I had this, it was like 2 nights ago. I was like, I had this feeling, this fear that Ben's not going to make it. Don't do that to me. Because it's going to get dark if they take Ben away from me. They already took Terry away.
Yeah.
I don't need a big heroic sacrifice to save the universe and Bajor. Like, I don't need it, man. All right. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Go ahead, continue.
Can emotionally take it. Yeah, I'm with you. So this episode, right? I think, when I watched it again, I always watch them twice. The first time I watched it, I was like, yeah, that's a good episode, but not like a great episode. But then our conversation about it and what it has unlocked and the relevance of it, I'm like, oh wow, yeah, it really does have a lot more to say than just like a fun little spycraft situation. So it's really well written, it's really well performed. I think our guest stars are excellent. Top down, and I think it was nice to be in a different place. It was nice to be hanging out with Romulans. We haven't spent a lot of time with the Romulans on this show. Like that's really fun. I think, Bill Sadler as Sloane is just fantastic. He's so just good. So inherently that character and really fun. And I think putting these really complex and difficult ideas in his mouth, which is sort of inherently untrustworthy, and yet also he's like spitting some fiery truth. Really fun. Really not fun. Not fun at all. Really thought-provoking and a really good episode. So for me, it gets 90. self-sealing stem bolts. So in the world, it got an 8.3, which puts it in the top 25 episodes. 21. So really, really good. So next week, the episode Penumbra. Is that how you pronounce it? I assume that's how you pronounce it.
Sure.
I don't know. I don't pronounce things. Lots more as we're on that roller coaster. We're on the final roller coaster. There's no getting off this ride now. The seat belts are down. We're doing the click, 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 click. So
I'm gonna be much happier, I promise, in the future. Today you caught me at a time.
That's okay. But look, that's the thing. And that was the thing with the other show that we did, right? As we went through COVID. Like, part of this is a discussion about an old sci-fi show. Part of it is a discussion. Part of it is a discussion of a friendship. Part of it is a discussion of the world that we're in and the time capsule that we're all a part of here. So we're all on the ride. I think by this point, if you're watching, you're on the ride with us. I don't think anybody just hopped in randomly to
I'm not really asking for anybody
15.
to agree with us, right? That we're just expressing our opinions, and you're welcome to share yours in the comments. Kindness is all we ask. You don't have to agree.
And JD's point about whether our brains are pickled by the internet is a fair point.
Sure, they are pickled by the internet and our media landscape and its own destruction and downfall. I'm sure we're part of the problem, but
we're part of so many problems.
Hey, Keith, because we're getting close, can we take a minute real quickly? Keith has been doing a lot of hard work. I've been working with him behind the scenes on his show coming up at the One Act Festival.
United Solo Festival?
Yes. You can get tickets if you're in the New York City area, or if you just want to buy tickets so that they're purchased. Even if you can't
just
make
have an empty theater.
No, you could gift them on Craigslist. Is that a thing that still happens? I don't know. I'm just trying to help out here. Keith, let everybody know where they can go. AutisticShow.com.
AutisticShow.com to come see my show 10 Times I Should Have Known I Was Autistic at the United Solo Festival on November 4th at Theater Row on 42nd Street. It's going to be a thing. It's going to be fun. You can watch me shit my pants. I'll be so scared. But I think it's
follow
going to be
Keith
fun.
on TikTok. What's your TikTok handle?
Just at Keith Varney.
Because he's got lots of fun content about it there as well.
Check it out. We'll be doing our big press, our show coming up soon. All right. So we will see you here next week with another episode of Keith and Mike Watch Deep Space Nine.
Oh, the button's not going to work.
Thank you for watching K&M Entertainment. If you enjoyed our particular brand of nonsense, please like and subscribe. Or become one of our patrons at patreon.com/KNM. This week, we are going to do a new segment called Yes And, where I pitch Mike our teaser. Mike is going to introduce our show for this episode in Latin.
Inter, Arma, Enim, Leggies?
Go show-o.